Hi, and welcome to VariYoga with Andrea. I'm going to remember that. You know, it is VariYoga now. Doing yoga with Andrea for 12 years, it's hard to switch over, but that's what we are. VariYoga is the style of yoga that I teach on the show and at the Yoga Center, and that Bryan and I teach in our teacher training programs. And it means one journey, many paths. VARI stands for variety, various.
Variation.
Variation, exactly. And so today's show, we're going to do some show you how we vary poses with props and how you can make the poses more accessible to you by using those props. Anyway, so I hope you take time and join us. You see we're sitting cross-legged, and you can do the same thing too, or sit on your chair, or sit on the couch. Let your hands rest on your knees. And so if you're sitting on a couch, just hold, your feet are out in front of you, just hold your kneecaps and stay on the couch. I want you to inhale and rock forward and bring your chest forward and lift your chin. Exhale, round your back. So some of these poses we'll be doing today's show are deep hip openers and also side body stretches and shoulder work. You're rocking back and forth. When you come forward, you get a big space and a lift in your chest, you inhale. And when you exhale and you collapse forward, you compress the diaphragm, exhale. And then come to neutral, sitting nice and straight. Let your hands come to the floor and inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bring them down. So we're just doing these gentle warm-ups because I don't know where you are. If it's just early in the morning, 6:30 you're joining us, or it's just come home in the evening at 8 o'clock and you're stressed out, and we have to get rid of some of that tension in our neck and shoulders. This is a nice way to warm up. We'll move into a sequence of hip openers here in a minute. Good. So I'm gonna bring it over to Bryan. You wanna do a couple other shoulder things and then move us into Anjaneyasanas?
Side stretches.
Yes.
We're going to do something a little different today.
Okay.
So you're at home, we're doing it backwards from you. So I want you to take your right hand over to your left knee. And then inhale, lift your left arm up and lower your right shoulder. Lift and inhale. Exhale, bring that hand across. Bring your left hand to your right knee. Inhale, lift your right arm up. Exhale, bring it back down. Cross it over. Inhale, lift your left arm again. Exhale, bring it across and over. Inhale, lift your right arm. And back down. One last time, lift your left arm up.
A twist and a lateral. I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Pravrita Parva Sukhasana.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you want to take us into that hip stuff?
Yes, we're going to start with a kneeling pose.
Yes.
So if you are coming onto your knees with us, then make sure if you're on a hard floor that you're honoring your body and you use a blanket or a pillow
Turn
under your
sideways
knees.
here.
We're going to go sideways here so that you can see what we're doing. And we're using props today. So using blocks, or if you don't have blocks, if you have
Boxes!
a couple of boxes.
We've talked about this on the show several times, and thank you to the Jones Television camera crew, to Jerry. He went and found me some boxes, because I forgot to bring 4 blocks. So see how you can modify.
The classic yoga poses were done without props.
Right. They use rocks.
Rocks. Iyengar is the name of a teacher, and he started the development of props. He may not have been the first, but he's the one who brought our attention to them. To use props so that the yoga poses that we do are accessible.
Right.
So that you can do them and not put yourself in harm's way. So we're going to use our blocks today, or our boxes, whatever you have.
And our blankies.
You can use and blankets. You can use a shoe box. I love duct tape in a shoe box and use for blocks. So I want you to lean to your left. You can use that block and bring your right foot out in front. You walk the foot out ahead of your knee. You keep your heart lifted up. Put your hands on your leg. Take your shoulders back. Your heart is lifted up. Heart is open. And then bring your hips forward. This does 2 things at once. If you need to use the blocks, perfectly welcome to do that.
They're perfect height. Thank you, Jerry.
This stretches your glutes on the leg that's forward, and it stretches your hamstring, and it stretches your hip flexors, the muscles on the front of the leg that's toward the back. This is a kneeling lunge. The Sanskrit is Anjaneyasana.
Gosh, it really does stretch the front of that thigh and the back.
Now, if you're leaning forward over your leg, let's just do that. Lean forward over your leg and feel how the stretch kind of goes away for the front of the leg that's down, and then press and lift back up and see how that stretch increases again. Now, we're going to take our blocks. You can use your blocks if you're using blocks in the high position. You can go a little lower if that's better for you.
You see how that feels on these.
Yeah.
Can't put too much pressure on boxes because they might collapse.
Yeah, be mindful what you're using. Take your hips back now. Leave the ball of the foot down. You're kind of folding a little bit over that leg.
Now, you know what? I can't take the ball of my foot all the way down because I have an old injury in my ankle. So is it okay if I just lift
Certainly.
Floint my foot?
That's right. That's good.
Okay. Modify.
Sometimes people immediately go into the flex and the toes are up, and that's a different pose. We're going to do that in just a moment.
Okay.
So you're drawing your hip back. So if you can put the ball of the foot down, that's fine, but just keep your foot extending out.
Yeah.
You can flex your toes.
Yeah.
It's a nice stretch for the calf and the back of the knee, but be honorable to the back of your knee and don't overstretch.
Okay, that's good.
Now, I'm going to bend the knee again and scoot your foot a little further forward, and now draw the toes way up high, but the heel stays on the floor. And then draw your hip back. Do you feel how that moves into your calf and into your lower leg?
Oh, yeah.
Down into the Achilles tendon, which is behind the heel. But the blocks help you be in the pose without danger.
Yeah. Now, we're not going to the splits here, are we?
No.
Okay. Because Anjaneyasana isn't that the pose named after Hanuman? And Hanuman is
Hanuman's mother.
Yeah.
Anjaneya, that's
yeah.
the...
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be another show.
Yeah.
We'll do the splits another time.
Bend your front knee again.
Okay.
Come back up. And then lean into it. This is actually one of the poses that you do that helps you get ready for the splits. If that's your desire to experience that, then you can use these poses to help awaken your hips. So let's come up and bring the knee under.
Changing sides?
Right.
Okay.
Now you can use that block to kind of lean over to what is now your right side at home and take your left leg forward. Walk the foot out ahead of your knee. Heart lifts up and shoulders back and hips come forward. Now you can see us a little bit better how the front of it's our left hip, which would be your right if you're doing mirror image with us at home. Stretch it.
Yeah. Well, excuse me, I never tried that, Brian, where you're lifting up, your shoulders are back away from your ears. I'll be trying that. And you're stretching, you're kind of doing a little back bend. But then when you come forward, it really does release the stretch in that back hip. And I think, because your hip flexor, what you're doing when you come up is you're stretching the psoas, the iliopsoas that comes through the spine from the back to the front. Yeah, so try that. Just listen, pay attention. Focus on your body. Focus on what's happening. Yeah, there. Good. So now what do we do next?
Now we are using the blocks or the props. And then draw your hips back. Okay. Now you can leave the ball of the foot on the floor, or it can come up a little bit, whichever is right for you, but we're not lifting it up way high.
No, right.
You draw your, the leg that's forward, you draw that hip back as you fold. Some may fold a small amount, some may fold all the way over. It's not how far you go, it's what benefits you as a practitioner, as a student. You listen to your body as you practice and you stop where the stretch is doing you good. Not try to push as far as your neighbor. To be feeling bad about how far you go, no, that's not the point at all. Or feeling too good about how far you go compared to someone else, because we're all individuals. And we share the common journey of yoga, but we each have an individual path.
Yeah, because some people will see that we're quite flexible and they just go, oh, I can't do that. I'm just not going to do it. And that's not a good thing.
So they'll miss the whole benefit from the practice. Now, you bend the knee and scoot the foot a little more forward, and you draw the ball of the foot up, and you can adjust those blocks however you need to.
That really moves into the calf and the Achilles.
Down to the back of the heel.
So these nice, steady, deep stretches. Sometimes you tune into the show and we're doing some fast flows and we're moving and moving. Other times we're just holding poses. So try this. Get down on the floor with us. Stretch a little bit. Yoga is one of the best ways to get the joints lubricated. You do these slow, deep stretches. We have different levels, level 1 all the way to level 4. Yeah.
And
level of classes we talk about when I say that, yeah. Okay, so now we've got a sequence we're going to do is the gate sequence, Parighasana. And I think I'll just move these boxes to the side and borrow one of your blocks. Yeah, because this is you just need one block for this sequence. Stack these over here. Thank you again, Jones Television, for the use of such wonderful props. And let's turn, and we're going to face you. So you're still leaning, use a blanket. So use that blanket to pad your knees. Place your block, since we're going to mirror you, place your block on your left side, come up to kneeling, and step. You can put your hand on the block if you need it for support, your right foot forward. So we start out in that same kind of lunge that Brian was doing with us, Anjaneyasana. Good. And then bring your hips back so you can take the weight out of your front foot and just toe heel your right foot over to your right.
And feel free to use the block to stabilize you.
Good, yes. And then more or less bring this bent knee foot in line with opposite knee. So
Out to the side.
out to the side. And let's
But for
place
some, that might be a bit too deep, so you can leave the leg in a little if
good.
it's too much inner thigh stretch.
Yeah, it's a good variation. Place the bend your elbow and place it on top of your thigh. And inhale, lift your left arm up. Feel the stretch from the shoulder, the hand, all the way down to your hip. Good. And then exhale, turn and reach over to your right. Inhale, turn your torso, open up back towards the television. That's it. And then exhale, turn and reach. Keep going. Inhale again. Come and join us here. Some shoulder work, some twisting, lateral stretching. And now come all the way up and find the block again. Find that block. Set your hand on it so it's right underneath your shoulder. And your choice is to keep your knee, this knee straight or, bent or straight. Decide. Flex or floint or point your foot. I like to floint it.
And be mindful of the elbow and the arm that's supporting you.
Good. I tend to lock mine. Very good. So one straight line from your toes, all the way through that leg, all the way up through your hip, and out through your arm. And then look up towards the ceiling. Now, Brian, I do this might be a little different than you do. That's why we have VariYoga. I like to just open back up again. I don't know if you do that.
I do, because the leg that's back helps support you in a back bend on this side, where it doesn't in the other side.
Right. So here we are, opening up our chest, doing a little back bend. Then take a deep breath in, and exhale, turn and twist, and reach across, reach over to the left side. And then inhale, open back up.
This is great for the shoulder, also great for the side body. This affects our lymphatic system.
Yes. And again, join us. Inhaling and exhaling, reaching. Now we're going to come away from the floor on this side. We're going to inhale, bring the block up with us, and change to the other side. Set your block behind your right knee. Inhale yourself up. Inhale the opposite arm up. And then turn and twist. How close can you bring that hand to your shin, your ankle, your toes? And then inhale, open back up. So again, your foot can be placed in a pointed position. It can be placed in a flointed position.
Your knee may also be bent in this if it's a little too deep of a stretch to straighten it out.
And one more time.
And notice we're not going into a back bend in this. We're just coming back to our neutral position.
Right, and then come all the way up and change sides. Your block is right there on your right side. Perfect. So let's take the left foot. Your left foot, again, we're mirroring you. Step it out, a little short Anjaneyasana stretch to open up your hip. So sometimes you may not do Anjaneyasana right at the beginning, like we did earlier in the show. So, and you want to do the Parighasana, VariYoga Parighasana, you want to just open up your hip this way to warm it up. Good, then come back, and then we'll, I like that, heel toe, over to the side. Or, as Brian said, if you can't open your knee that wide, just take it in a little bit. Good. And let's bring that forearm to the top of the thigh. Roll your shoulder blades back so you open your chest. Lift your right arm up in the air. And exhale, turn and twist. Inhale. And exhale.
Now notice we don't have the same stability in this to do a deep back bend.
Right.
The leg is not positioned to support us. But in the next position it is, and that's why we take it a little more open.
And all the way over. And we can do a little back bend here.
Yeah.
And we straighten or keep the knee bent, whatever feels right for you. And then take the arm. I love this. At one time I was floating down, I think it was the...
Make sure your elbow is unlocked.
Yes, the Elk River, I think it was. And this big sycamore branch had fallen over, and it was big and arched branch, and it was all been smooth, just opened up like this.
Oh.
And I was draped over this thing with both arms falling towards the water. It was the most wonderful back bend. So sometimes you just in nature, you can find things. Or then let's take a deep breath in, and then exhale, reach over to your right, stretching with that left hand. Inhale, open back up.
Yeah, for a minute I was confused where your branch was going.
Exhale. Sorry. And open. The branch was really big, and it was, it was probably, I don't know the circumference of it, but I could lay my whole body on it and then drape my arms down and just have my fingers. So like doing this back bend like this. Yeah, one more time, let's twist. And then over, bring your block with you, and take your block behind your left leg. Let's go. Let's take that right arm up in the air. Come and join us. And exhale, turn and twist. Reach for your toes, ankle or shin. Bend the knee slightly if it's pulling too much in the hamstrings. Inhale back up. And exhale. And again. And twist. So that's our Parighasana sequence. Isn't that nice? It's like it does some back bend, a side twist, does lateral. Yes.
It's hip flexor stretch. It's
Yeah, all of it.
glutes.
So do you want to show us some Setu Bandha?
We're going to do Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, which means bridge pose.
Yes. So we'll lie down sideways.
Yes.
How about if you put your head that way and I put my head this way? Would that
Sounds
work?
good.
Sounds good. So we're going to open up our blankets and have even more padding. So if you don't have, if you're not on carpet and you've got a hardwood floor, hard tile floor, please use a blanket.
You know, we're going to use our props for this today.
Good. So
I want you to come down on your back. Make sure your feet are on the mat or on not a slippery surface.
and our knees are bent?
Our knees are bent.
Okay.
So we have to fix our microphones.
Yeah.
Now take your block or your box. If it's a real big box, you may not want to use it, and you could even use a small pillow. Put it between your knees, and this helps keep our knees together. Because many times I see people splay the legs apart when they're lifting up like this, and that puts a lot of pressure on the sacrum. So it's better to keep your legs together.
Plus you can squeeze the block and it engages the leg muscles and engages the hips so that doesn't put pressure on the back.
That's right.
Okay.
Now also, be careful not to have your feet too far away from your hips or too close. Your ankles should be right under your knees. And also, if you're lying on your back to do this, don't lift the head up with a pillow. Let the head be down because we're going to be lifting our hips and it's going to cause the neck to move forward.
Very good
So,
point. Don't
palms.
keep your head on the floor. Such a good point, Brian, because so many people will do this with a blanket under their head or a pillow. Not a good idea.
And they'll overstretch the neck. Okay, we're going to move with our breath.
Okay.
You press your hands and your feet. Inhale, lift your hips up. This is a flow. We're going to flow from pose to pose. Exhale, lower your hips back down. Good. Inhale, lift your hips up. And
There goes my
exhale,
mic.
lower down.
You know, when you lower down, you tilt your tailbone so you lengthen your back.
Lift and inhale. And exhale, lower down and lengthen your back. You're right. That's great. Cute. Inhale, lift again. You choose how high up you go. And then exhale, lower the spine down. Now we're going to add arm sweeps. On your inhale, lift your right arm, and you can just do your right arm. Lift it all the way up overhead as you lift your hips up. Knuckles to the floor and palm open. Exhale, bring the hand back to the floor by the hips as the hips go back down to the floor. And now we change sides. Left arm lifts up and over as your hips lift up. Exhale, bring your left hand back down to the floor by your hips as the hips go back down. Let's do both hands over. Lift up both hands as you lift your hips up. Hands go all the way overhead to the floor. And then exhale, bring your hands back over to the hips and hips back down. Let's do that through again. Right hand by itself. And I'm really doing my right hand. Take your hips up. Exhale, take your right hand back to your hips and hips back down. Left hand goes overhead as you lift your hips up off the floor. And exhale, left hand back down. And now both hands lift up overhead as your hips come up. Both hands go over, palms up, knuckles toward the floor. Then exhale, bring your hands back to your hips. And now we're going to change it again. This time take both hands overhead and lift your hips. Knuckles on the floor, palms open and up. And now exhale, just lower your hips and leave your arms up overhead. Oh, feel the stretch in your shoulders and side
You know,
body.
that lengthens the spine so much. I think people, I love that. Yeah.
Inhale, lift your hips again. Then exhale, both hands toward the ceiling and then back to your hips as your hips move to the floor. Let's do that 2 more times all the way
That's
through.
nice, Brian.
Both hands up toward the ceiling as your hips lift up.
I hope you're trying this with us.
Exhale, your arms and hands go over your head as your hips move back down to the floor.
These slow, steady movements help bring lubrication to the joints.
Inhale, hands up, hips up. And hands to the floor by your hips and hips back down as you exhale. 1 more time all the way through. Lift your hands toward the ceiling, your hips lift up, drawing the breath in. Exhale, take your arms overhead, reach out through your fingers as your hips move back down to the floor. And then hands up toward the ceiling and your hips lift back up. And then hands to the floor by your hips. Good.
Nice.
Now let's put the block to the side. And then, draw your knees to your heart slowly and feel the low back stretch. The bridge pose has great stretching for the back, but It's nice to counterpose when you're done. You may rock your knees a little side to side. This is a blissful pose. So many people really enjoy this release for the hips and the low back. Just being on your back and drawing your knees into your heart and rocking gently.
That's great.
Ah, good.
Okay, since we're here on the floor, we have our straps for this? No, we don't have our straps. We're going to do Setu Bandha Sarvangasana with, we just did that. We're going to do Supta Padangusthasana without straps.
Ah, we can just hold the leg.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what you're going to do is draw your, pick a leg. We always direct you what leg to use first, so just pick a leg. I'm going to pick my right leg and grab behind the right thigh. Keep the knee bent. Gently pull the leg in towards your chest. Your knee is bent, and notice how far you can bring that thigh towards your chest. Good. Now move the leg away from you. Keep the knee bent, push the leg away from you, and start to straighten the leg. Start to straighten the toe towards the ceiling. The heel towards the ceiling, the toes towards your face. And then slowly pull your leg towards you again, keeping the knee slightly bent or legs as straight as you can. So you alternate. Brian's got his knee bent, I've got my legs straight. So you can change it. You want to do what works for you, because a lot of us do not have stretched out hamstrings. So you want to force it. So you can keep the knee slightly bent. Good. Hold this nice deep stretch. What were you saying, Brian, when you hold the stretch, what does it do for the, it
stretches your connective tissue, your fascia and your tendons. They react to a stretch that's longer than the quick movement. Okay, so now we're going to do, since the camera's in the right position, we're going to do Ardha Ananda Balasana. So I want you to bend that knee and bring it to this, out towards your armpit, right down to the armpit. There's a good position to show how you can do this pose. You grab your foot and bring the knee towards the floor, towards your armpit. So it's half baby pose. Good. And then let's bring the right foot to the front of your left thigh. Thread the needle, Suchirandrasana. You lift your left foot off the floor, or that foot that's on the floor off the floor, and thread your hands through. Grab the back of the thigh, let your head stay on the floor, and pull your knee in. Ooh, do you feel that in your hip? I do. Now, not everyone can leave the head on the floor. They need to round up a little bit if they're going to hold the leg. And if that's too much, you can use a strap around your leg so that you can stay down.
All right, let's release the left foot, or the one you're hugging, and then change sides. And then pull the other knee into your chest. Just holding the shin or holding the back of the thigh. Just pull the knee in. Good. And then push the knee away from you and start to straighten your legs, straighten the foot towards the ceiling. Still holding the back of the thigh, not the knee itself, not the joint. And then slowly pull your leg towards you. Bend the knee if you need to. If your hamstrings start to totally tense up, you want to honor that and not force them, but give a slow, gentle stretch. Bringing your leg towards your chest. Good. I love this stretch. One of my favorites. I do it almost every day. And then we're going to bend the knee. So we'll do that half baby pose. Just bring the knee. See how the shin stays perpendicular to the floor, slowly bringing the knee towards the floor, the outside of your rib cage, holding the sole of your foot. Good. And let's bring now into the thread the needle, ankle to the front of the thigh. Lift the other foot off the floor and reach through and grab the back of your thigh or the front of your shin and gently pull in, stretching the hip, breathing. Good. And then release your foot. Now I want to do one more here with a prop before we have to close. We have to close fairly soon, but we're going to do this. Put your feet back to the floor, both of them, just like you're getting ready for bridge. And you'll push up into bridge, but take your block. If you don't have a block, then don't use it, but put your block underneath your hips. Just try this for a minute. And then let your hips, your sacrum, rest to the block. It's a nice, supportive back bend. And what you can do is keep the knees either bent the way they are, or see what happens when you straighten your legs straight out in front of you, toes point up towards the ceiling. It's a nice supported back bend. And it stretches the front of the body. Your toes point upward, so it's almost like you're standing in Tadasana. Arms are beside you, or rest them on your thighs, and breathe. Just hold this for a few breaths. This is if you could look inside your body right now, the front of your spine is opening up, giving some space for the discs, because lots of times we're always collapsed forward, right, Brian? And our discs in the front are more compressed. This
That's
way
right.
we're opening them up. I love this. Yeah.
Spinal decompression.
Exactly. Yoga's really good for that. All the movements of the spine, the twisting and the
Now,
forward
this
bends.
is also strong for the top of the hips. The front
Oh,
of your
yeah.
hips are stretching.
Yeah. All right, so let's come out of that. Let's bend our knees. Put your feet flat on the floor, then lift your hips and take the block out. Put it to the side. And let's do that wonderful, blissful back stretch that Bryan was talking about. Hug your knees into your chest. Rocking from side to side. Oh, it's nice. Good. And then let your feet come to the floor. And let's take our legs straight out on the floor. You do this, join us here. Take legs straight out on the floor. Full body stretch. Arms overhead. I don't know if they can get this, both these tall glasses of water here, but we're going to stretch. Our feet may go out of the television, so may our hands. That always reminds me of a funny story. One time I run into somebody and they said, "Wow, you're a lot taller than you look on TV." And I said, "Well, they have to shrink me. I take this little medicine. They shrink me to put me in this box." You know, Bryan didn't have to walk through this door to get really small, like Alice in Wonderland, right?
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, bring your hands back down. So we're going to have to close here. We're going to close right on the floor, right into Shavasana. So join us. If you start this with us, stay here with us. Close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Then focus on your hands. Bring your thumb and index finger together as you exhale. And open them apart when you inhale. And then bring your next middle finger and thumb together. So just go this way as you drift down into Shavasana. From our heart to yours, Bryan and I thank you for joining us. Namaste.